Double upload Matt in the building. What's good, y'all? Hope you're having a blessed day. And hey, as you know, anytime we double upload on this channel, you have to leave a like. I do not make the rules, I just enforce them. So if you're new to the channel, what are you doing? Hit that subscribe button, join the family, and leave a like for more. Now without further ado, let's dive straight into it. Today on ESPN, there was a huge game between the #1 overall player in the country, Chet Holmgren, and Mikey Williams. This was a nationally televised game in a tournament that was pretty big, that was including a lot of major and big time programs. Holmgren is a 7'1", I wouldn't even call him a center, more like a small forward because he looks like a center, but he has handles like a point guard. If that's not scary enough, he also can shoot the 3-ball very efficiently. And on the flip side, you have the star and the young phenom himself, Mikey Williams. The #1 overall player in the country and the #3 overall player in the country. I don't have to hype it up too much, this game had some major ramifications on it. This game was on ESPN2, so it was broadcasted to a ton of people, and for most people, this was their first time seeing Mikey play and not just highlights. This also means it was the first time for a lot of people to see raw highlights of Mikey. Unfortunately, due to copyright reasons, I can't put the highlights up on the screen, but you can go check them out on Who's Next YouTube because they broadcasted the whole tournament. The first half was pretty good and even all the way up until halftime. Lake Norman started out early and hot, including a 3-pointer from Mikey and a quick layup, so he had 5 points right off the bat. They had a lead most of the first half, but later in the half, Team Sizzle, which is Chet Holmgren's team, took an easy 2 to 3 point lead. It was back and forth, there wasn't too many big time runs, and it wasn't that high scoring either. The only real exciting play there was in the first half, if you watched this, you know exactly what I'm talking about, was there was a fast break and they threw the ball up to Mikey, and there was Chet Holmgren under the rim, and he tried to dunk on him, and he almost made it, but I think it went out of bounds or something like that. Alright, I said it was close. It was semi-close. If you watched it, you know what I'm talking about. That's the reason we watch Mikey. We want to see those highlight type of plays. For the entire first half, Holmgren was relatively quiet and had a somewhat poor first half. He only shot 2 from 8 from the field. He had 6 points, 5 rebounds, but he was most efficient on the defensive end. He had 5 blocks. And for Lake Norman Christian, Mikey was the leading scorer at half with 10 points, 3 from 8 from the field, and 3 for 4 on free throws. And Mikey's other star teammate known as Trey Green had 7 points at half. At the half, Lake Norman Christian was trailing 30 to 26, so they're still in the ball game, and it wasn't that bad of a half. But you could tell where this game was starting to go to because they was really struggling getting rebounds. Team Sizzle really struggled shooting the ball. They shot 12 for 39 in the first half and 5 for 14 from the 3-point line. And on the flip side, Lake Norman was 10 for 30 on field goals and 2 from 9 from the 3-point line. So yeah, I think we can all agree it wasn't an absolute shootout in the first half. The flow of the game and the way things were going, if Lake Norman didn't make shots in the second half, this was going to be a blowout. I gotta say, Mikey didn't look really bad in the first half, but he didn't look good either. He was taking some very questionable shots. It was so noticeable, even the sports announcers were talking about how he's taking bad shots and shooting way too early in the shot clock. I don't really have a problem with him taking those bad shots because he's proven he can make them. But at the start of the second half, in the first 5 to 10 minutes, this is when things changed dramatically. I don't know what was going on, but at the start of the second half, Mikey was absolutely atrocious. He had 3 to 4 turnovers in a blink of an eye without even getting a shot off. It just looked like mental errors and the other team was just straight up stealing the ball from him. Also, to go along with that, when he quit turning the ball over, he was taking some terrible shots. When I was watching it live, I was literally like, yo, what is he doing? Can I be the only one who's noticing the shots he's shooting? I was like, there's no way. I gotta go to Twitter to make sure other people are talking about this. And of course, when you're a great player like Mikey, when you do good things, people are gonna praise you, but when you do bad things, people are going to criticize you as well. And people were very quick to go to Twitter and give their opinion on him, and it was much of the same as mine. People were saying stuff like, I don't know about Mikey Williams, Mikey is underwhelming for all the hype and stuff like that. This guy said, oh yeah, Mikey Williams finally playing against competition and he ain't looking too good out there. Then Rob Rose basically tweeted out what I was thinking. He said, what is this man Mikey Williams doing, bruh? People said Mikey wasn't showing him nothing and he's getting locked up and just more things. Young Drick said, I know there's a balance in having such a talented player like Mikey Williams and letting him play and do his thing, but they're looking too out of control out there. Jiggy Bree says, not going to lie, Mikey's looking kind of regular in this game. Homer Randy said Mikey Williams looking mid without the overtime machine. Mar Mason said Mikey Williams is looking bad. Shaq Diesel continued on with that, saying, I'm watching Mikey on TV for the first time and he looks overhyped. EA Stan added to that and said Mikey's folding on live TV. And there was a bunch of tweets like this, and this is very concerning. Chuck said Mikey Williams gave up on his team. Energy level looks hella low. Bad look. Dylan Collins says Mikey Williams gotta fix that attitude or gonna be a lot of humbling coming his way in college. IMD Woe said Mikey Williams is looking sloppy out there on ESPN2. Yeah, you guys get the point. A lot of people were not saying too many good things about him during this game. All those tweets I read off were coming in before the 8-minute mark in the second half. And the reason for that is because the first 8 minutes of the second half were just straight up awful for him. He started out the second half 0 for 5 from the field and had 4 turnovers. When you're on national TV and supposed to be a top 3 player in the country, people are gonna talk after you do something like that. That's enough about how poorly the second half started for Mikey and Lake Norman Christian. Let's talk about the other team. Well, as you can assume, if Mikey played that bad in the second half, you're probably thinking the other team had to get out to a big lead, and you would be exactly right. The team Sizzle used their height to their advantage. They was blocking shots, getting easy dunks, and they caught fire from behind the arc. Chet Holmgren really turned it on and wound up finishing the game with 18 points, 19 rebounds, and listen to this, I'm saying this right, 12 blocks. I don't know why, but Lake Norman just kept challenging him at the rim and he kept blocking them on every single play. It's like he was padding his stats out there on 2K. It just didn't look real. You could really tell why he's ranked as the #1 player in the second half because he showed it and proved it. He was most impressive on the defensive end, but on offense, he showed flashes of greatness. With being that tall, he's almost impossible to block and he's a great shooter, so he can get off a lot of shots. He's also a very underrated passer and a lot of people don't talk about that part of his game enough. For a game that was 30-26 at halftime, in the blink of an eye, Team Sizzle went up 56-36 in the first 8 minutes of the second half. So basically, Lake Norman scored 10 points in 8 minutes in the second half, and that's not good enough to beat anybody. A main reason they wasn't scoring was because Team Sizzle's defense and size was just too big for them. Lake Norman wasn't hitting shots, and when you're not hitting shots, you normally attack the basket, but that's not going to work against Chet Holmgren. That's a main reason as to why he had 12 blocks in the first place. After a terrible first start to the second half though, Mikey really turned it on late in the game. I do gotta say, the game was completely over and it didn't matter, but he was still getting some buckets. Team Sizzle for some reason just started backing up and letting Mikey shoot, and he was making them pay. Even though the game was relatively over, he rattled off 3 threes in the second half and had a couple of and ones and a layup, and you look up and he finished the game with 25 points. He didn't shoot good from the field at all. He wound up going 6 for 16, which isn't good, but it's not completely bad either. If he didn't hit those 3 threes late in the second half, it would have looked terrible because he started out 3 for 11 or 3 for 12, something like that. He also got to the foul line a ton and wound up shooting 10 for 12 on his free throws, which is pretty good. If he didn't force a lot of those bad shots and have that many turnovers in the second half, the outcome of the game might have been different. If you didn't watch this game, don't let the 25 points fool you because it didn't look like a 25-point performance from him. Like I said, a lot of these were garbage buckets, but we still gotta give him credit. 25 is 25. His teammates really didn't help him out either. Joyful Hawkins only went 3 for 10 from the field, and Trey Green, who's the other star point guard, went 3 from 12, which is just terrible. What we saw in the last 3 to 4 minutes of the game from Mikey was what we thought we was going to see during the entire game, but it just wasn't there. The first half and the start of the second half for sure was not a good look for Mikey, and I would even go as far as to saying it was a bad look on national TV. I gotta give him credit though. He wound up turning it on, keeping his head high and having that positive attitude, and finished the game really strong. A lot of people are going to say he gave up and he's lazy, but he showed signs of not giving up because he was losing and still fighting. Unfortunately though, I think a lot of people done turned off their TV or changed the channel by the time he started lighting it up because the game was just straight up over. There was also a lot of moments during this game where Mikey showed a lot of signs of frustration with his teammates. A lot of times during this game when they'd get a rebound, instead of pushing the ball and throwing it up to Mikey, who is the point guard, they would just hold it and he would shake his head in frustration or just clap his hands and be like, yo, what are you doing? The chemistry is definitely still not there, and you can tell they need to work on a lot of things. There were times where Mikey thought he was open and he was clapping his hands or calling for the ball and they just didn't throw it to him. And sometimes when his other teammates would shoot a shot and miss it, he would just shake his head and jog back down the court. It's just little stuff like that where you can see the frustration come out and the chemistry is just not fully there. And Mikey needs to clear some of that stuff up because everyone, wherever he goes, they're paying attention to him and all eyes are on him. I don't care what you say. I know he just got there, but he's the leader of this team and people are going to pay attention and react to how he reacts. If he's positive and upbeat and hype, his teammates are going to be the same way. But if he's down, frustrated and all that stuff, they're not going to be hype either. And if you're sitting there thinking, yo Matt, you're crazy, well just pay attention that he didn't play that great of a game and his teammates also had a bad game. Mikey's that guy where the entire team feeds off of his energy. If he has a good game, they have a good game. If he has a bad game, they also have a bad game. He's the leader of this team, that's the bottom line, and they wound up losing by 10 or 11, something like that, but it wasn't even that close. It was more like a 25-point game. We do gotta give credit to the other team. They turned it on. Holmgren showed why he's he's the #1 player in the country. They also had some other good role players like the son of Master P, and they also had some 3-point shooters that played phenomenally. Lake Norman wound up finishing this tournament at 1-2. Not a great start, but they was playing up against some really good competition, so at least they didn't start out 0-3. They got a lot of things to work on. It's very visible. I don't even have to say that, so they gotta get back into practice and start working on these things. All in all though, I enjoyed watching the game, and I thought it was a pretty decent game in the first half, but the second half, like I said, just wasn't close at all. But if you didn't change your TV and saw Mikey go off at the end, that was pretty exciting because we got to see why he's ranked #3 in the country. I know a lot of people are gonna hate on him, and if you watch the game live, you're probably disappointed, but keep in mind, he's just 16 years old. He has a lot of pressure on him, and just think about this. He scored 25 points, and everyone's talking about how bad he played and how it was a bad look. If that doesn't say something about how good he is and his potential, I don't know what does. I'm curious as to what you guys got to say, so drop your comments down below. Let me know if you watched the game, and if you didn't watch the game, what do you think of Mikey's stat line and all that good stuff down below. Did Mikey play good in your eyes? Did he play bad? Is it a good look? Is it a bad look? Let me know. But hey man, with all this being said, that's about gonna wrap up this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys learned something. If you're new to the channel, what are you doing? Join the family. Hit that subscribe button and leave a like for more. And as always, let's be great. I'm out, y'all. Peace.